First of all, I want to talk a little bit about agriculture in BC, and specifically horticulture, which is where my work focuses. We do a lot of exporting. 86% of all of our export markets are US, China, Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, so a lot of Pacific Rim activity. And that's export, but also import a lot from the Pacific Rim and US, so those are some of our pathways to think about. We have a long history of introductions in Canada. The earliest record is actually codling moth in 1635, and we are still dealing with codling moth. A pest of potential economic importance to an endangered area, and it's officially controlled. So there's a reg or there's import requirements or something like that. And we do have regulatory powers in BC. And the BC Plant Protection Act is a wonderful old act. It is actually quite powerful. It gives us the powers of inspectors and the authority to establish quarantine zones. You see balsam woolly adelgid, blueberry maggot, and gypsy moth on there. Gypsy moth, we change that every year. I want to talk to you a little bit about an organization, the British Columbia Plant Protection Advisory Council. It's a really unique organization, and it's a forum to discuss and address plant health issues in British Columbia. And it doesn't really have any authority, but it's really an interesting meeting to go to. It hasn't got staff or budget, and the members are just representatives from all the agencies that have a stake in plant health. A manual, I like the acronym, the REACT manual, and it's under revision right now, but it's a guideline to the process of how to deal with invasive species or new pests when they're detected, and what the pathway or what the process is, and I'll show you a bit of that. This one is procedure to evaluate the threat posed by any new species in BC. So you have I'm just going to tell you what the highlights are, but the executive of PPAC, do they see a threat? If no, then we go down here and do the periodic monitoring to look for range expansion. If we do see a threat, they create a technical advisory committee, which is the specialists. They evaluate it. There's no threat, they monitor. If there is a threat, then we make some recommendations. It goes to the government. But what I wanted to do is contrast gypsy moth, which is like institutionalized, compared to spotted-winged Drosophila, which is a brand new pest. It's new to North America, there's very little information, and it's spreading rapidly, globally. Yeah, it's out of control. The thing about spotted-winged Drosophila is regulations probably aren't going to help because the horse is out of the barn. So we're into management with this one. There are some countries that do have regulations, so this is going to be interesting. So our role with the ministry is developing IPM and outreach, and then Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada and CFIA fall in more the research role. So the ministry and the growers organization have picked up the surveillance in order to just try to keep the eyes and ears and the awareness out there so that if it does show up in the West, we'll see it as soon as possible. So in conclusion, each pest situation is unique. We follow similar processes. However, you know, sometimes the outcomes and the different details are quite different. But the partnerships and the communications are the most important part, and you know, nobody can do this alone. So we all have the same goal to decrease the pest risk and manage what we've got. So.